Explosionary's Fast and Furious podcast, and we don't have friends, we have family. Each week in the lead up to Fast and Furious 9, we shall be cracking a Corona to discuss the films, characters, music, and more of the Fast Saga. My name's Dylan Blight, and joining me, Kieran Marchand.
Hi, how you going? How is everybody? We're back to, back to the family. None of this too fast, too stuff. Let's just keep calling the movies different variations of Fast and Furious. Let's just
Damn right.
see how many different ways we can use that title, right?
Classic. Also here, Ashley Holman.
Hey, Dylan, I'm just excited to be here because Papa Dwight wants you to take off your shoes. Dwight loves feet.
What a character. Talk about characters that should come back to the franchise. Papa Dwight. So this week's movie is Fast and Furious 4, also known as Fast and Furious
Without
4.
the those.
Yeah, it's Fast and
Dulles.
Furious. Fast and Furious.
Also
Released in
Fast 4, right?
Fast. I don't know. Yeah, well, I wish. That would have made heaps of sense. Year release 2019, directed by Justin Lin. Of course, he got given this one after doing Tokyo Drift. We'll get to that in a couple episodes. It was written by Chris Morgan, who is in his tenure here, starts with Tokyo Drift and continues up to the most recent one. Main cast, of course, Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Jordana Brewster, Michelle Rodriguez, John Orwitz, Laz Alonso, and Gadot. The synopsis is Brian O'Connor, back working for the FBI in Los Angeles, teams up with Dominic Toretto to bring down a heroin importer by infiltrating his operation. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about the prelude to this film called Los Bandoleros.
Spoilers, I didn't watch this.
Bandoleros. What?
What?
I forgot. Also, it wasn't with my rental of the movie, and it was very hard to track down.
I literally left the link in our Slack.
Didn't see it.
All right, so you might want to stop there.
But you also said
fine.
it was bad, so I mean, I don't think I'm missing anything.
Yeah, all right. Just let me give my own takes.
I've heard it's bad.
Yeah, you've heard it's bad. So it's about 20 minutes. It was directed by Vin Diesel. The story apparently is that Vin Diesel wanted to shoot 4 and 5 the next. So this film, the one after, back to back, which of course I think makes some sense to him. Like that would have in his mind, of course, because it has a cliffhanger, and that's where the next one does pick up. Spoilers. So I guess like he wanted to shoot them all back to back and tell this like kind of cohesiveness. Somewhat story, but they wouldn't let him do that because they wanted to see if this one would do well, of course, because Tokyo Drift was like, yeah, and then the franchise ends up on uphill after this one. So to compromise, they gave him a little bit of money and a little bit of time, and they let him shoot this short film, 20 minutes, a lot longer than the short film we talked about last week, and I guess it has like one interesting tidbit information in it, but other than that, it's just kind of, to me, watching it, because it starts with this whole like breaking what are the characters' names? I've got them down here somewhere. Tego and Santos out of like prison and getting them, and then they have this dinner. Han shows up, and then the most interesting tidbit we get from this is that Han met Dom in Mexico, which, because I'd never watched this before. This is my first time watching it. This is the one Fast and Furious thing I'd never actually seen before. So my one interesting takeaway from all this was playing into my Better Luck Tomorrow fan fiction and talking about how I thought that Han could run off to Mexico after Better Luck Tomorrow. And then in this, he says that he met Dom in Mexico. I'm just like, fan fiction confirmed. Han ran off to Mexico following Better Luck Tomorrow, and that's where he met Dom after Dom fucked off to there, of course, at the end of the original Fast and Furious. And that's where the two of them meet, and they begin doing some stuff there. And then eventually Dom leaves, and then Dom calls Han over to Colombia, I guess, where they are in this.
They are Colombia.
I think so, yeah.
Some place in Colombia, yeah. I don't
No,
think
it's not Colombia. It's the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, it is Dominican Republic. It is correct. Yeah, so he calls him over there to, of course, do the jobs, and that he calls Han in, and that's where you learn the jobs they're doing at the start of the actual movie, of course. Eventually, Letty shows up, and you have a whole awkward moment where like Dom has got his hands around some other girls, and it's like a callback to the first movie, really, is what it is. And then the next like 10 minutes, I don't know, nearly feels like 10 minutes at the end of this movie. It's just supposed to be a lot of lovey-dovey scenes between the two of them, although they're just not particularly interesting to watch. But to me, it really does play into the whole thing of like, I give Vin Diesel credit for what it is, which is that he really likes these characters and he really likes telling the story and whatever else. And he's really, of course, because like he would have known what happens to the lady come Fast and Furious Fast 4. I'm just calling it Fast 4 from now. Fuck this. He knows what happens to her. So I guess like him filming this short film that's supposed to take place beforehand, I guess in his mind, he wanted to film a lot of lovey-dovey stuff between them. So then her death is like, you know, like more impactful, but you know, barely no people saw this until the Blu-ray, I guess. So, but I don't think it was very good apart from those seeing a little bit of Han and whatever else. So not very good. Kieran?
It was something. I remember I sat down to watch this and I was pretty late. It was like 11, I think it was 11:30 one night last week that I sat down to watch this movie, and I was going to watch Fast and Furious, and I went, oh, I've got to watch that 20-minute because I remembered, because I'm the good co-host. So I put it on, but I didn't realize it was a 20-minute thing. I thought it was another like
6-minute thing?
6-minute thing, like the two Fast and Furious one we'd watched last week. And no, it went for 20 minutes because I got to maybe like 5-6 minutes and I was like, fuck, this is okay. This is telling a whole thing. Okay, sure. Yep. I guess it's trying to tie into the start of the movie to explain why they're there at the start of the movie, but at the same time...
It's trying to explain that what Dom has done after Fast and Furious,
yes.
And he's been on the run, and he's been to several places, he's met these people, and blah, 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 and now he's got an idea for a big job, and then he's calling in these people that sets up the movie.
And then it's like, okay, we're setting up the start of this next movie, but the start of this next movie feels like this isn't the first time that they've done this together, so it's like...
No, it definitely skips ahead, like...
Did it actually skip ahead? So they've done a couple of these? Because it kind of,
no.
The way it's set up, it kind of made it seem like this was, like it would set up for this being the one that they're talking about in this short. It's just very like, yeah, there's
the one you see him at the start, the one is the robbery of the fuel at the start of the movie we're about to talk to. They very much sounds like this is not the first time they're doing that job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in this movie, this short film, it's like he's calling them in to start doing those jobs for the first time. Like they haven't got to doing them yet. And that's important because like there's the part where they're talking about the woman who's cooking them all food and there's like little kid, and they like she's talking about not being able to like light the fire, the gas and whatever else there so that she can cook stuff because they're all out of fuel and whatever else, which that plays into the actual movie because they talk about how it's worth more than money there. Of course, when we get to the actual movie, they're not like taking it and holding it off for money. They are getting some money for it, but they're also letting people just refuel their cars for races and whatever else. And they try and act like Dom's being like a Robin Hood somewhat, yes, I guess, is what they're trying to say.
You know, as Dom does, he goes to a place and everybody respects him and he's a member of power somehow. And, you know, it's the whole thing about it.
Someone calls him a godfather, literally, in this short film.
Yep, somebody calls him a godfather. It's like, okay, whatever, you know. Some kid goes to eat and they slap his hand and they're like, you know what Dom is about
You're gonna
eating
say
and stuff. I think the shining light for watching this, and probably the only thing that I've watched it and I'm like, cool, it was worth watching, but I'm never watching it again, was just more Han. More Han's always a good thing. Like I you know, and just Han complaining about shit when he gets there, just like you couldn't.
It's like, well, is this a hotel? And
yeah, like you could have put me up at a hotel or something. But other than that, it's I could have done without the Dom and Letty stuff at the end. Like it even goes to a point where it's like it drags out, and you're like, okay, this is the ending, and then it jumps.
It looks
to
like a bad porno for like the start of a bad porno.
It then jumps to like this weird montage of them doing stuff together, and you're like, okay, sure, cool, I guess. Like, you do you, Vin Diesel. You do you, buddy.
Yeah. I respect his efforts, but didn't come for it.
Just like old times.
Ash, how do you feel about Fast 4?
It's fine. I mean, it's not as interesting as the other movies that we've done so far. I think it's probably the most boring one so far. It's kind of, very tame, I think. Obviously, it loses all the street racing. Well, there's one street race, which is kind of one scene. And then it's kind of ridiculous at certain points. They just seem to be constantly crossing the border, both illegally and illegally. It's not as fun as the other ones, I don't think. I mean, that action sequence at the start with Han and Letty and everyone stealing the fuel, that's cool. If it had have had more of that, I think it would have been more interesting. But obviously, this is a bit more dramatic. It's these two former friends coming back together after one did the other wrong, and Brian sort of reconnecting with everybody. But yeah, that aspect was fun, but everything else was kind of not as fun as what came before or what's going to come next.
Kieran, how do you feel about this one?
This is probably my least favorite Fast and Furious movie. I think this is the one that I think I've only watched this maybe twice at most. I remember seeing it in the cinemas, and I remember seeing it when I've previously watched through the movies back to back to back. It's in this awkward stage where it feels like it wants to be heading towards what Fast 5 is, but it's still hanging on to what it was in the original movie / Too Fast, Too Furious.
It's a transitional period.
Yeah, it's this weird, like this mutant baby giraffe that doesn't know how to stand up yet. It's got some good moments. It's got some really good moments. Has some good driving. Has some very nice cars. It's nice. I think even though Tokyo Drift, I like Tokyo Drift so much, at the time, it was so nice to be back to Brian and to be back to Dom's character and stuff like that, and coming back to that. I think it's a shame that not many of the other characters from the original Fast and Furious are brought back for this movie, as well as Letty being killed off very early in the movie. I think pardon?
They fridge her, basically.
Yeah.
They set the groundwork for her return 2 movies later.
It just cordons us off a little bit, which is kind of weird. It just makes it a little bit less enjoyable. I think it's really funny. It makes me laugh now. This is the first of 2 Han lines where he's like, I'm going to go check out what's going on in Japan, because you're like, they did it the first time to set up for Tokyo Drift and then went back on their word for the first of many messes in that timeline. I
think that I like to think that he may have gone there briefly after this one. I'm not sure.
Isn't the line in the one where he leaves where he's like, I still haven't gone and checked out Japan.
I don't remember. We'll find out soon,
We'll find out. But I think they're both very similar lines. So it's both, even though once again, as I said in the short film, more Han is good. I like Han. Han's one of my favorite characters. So seeing him in this was really fun. And there are some particular moments that I'm like, that's still almost nostalgic in a way, because still being like, that's very old Fast and Furious, but then you see these new Fast and Furious moments emerging from it as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I would also say that this is so far of the ones we've watched my least favorite. But I don't want to sound like I don't like it. And actually, surprisingly, because I would say this is the one I've actually watched the least of all of the movies, and I actually went into this thinking I'd like it less than what I did. Like, I still think it's not as good as the other ones, but I think I actually enjoyed it more than what I thought I would, and maybe that's just because I hadn't watched it in such a long time that I was like kind of just enjoying seeing the movie where, of course, they all come back together for the first time. Because you got to remember, in 2009, it's like, they hadn't, this is the movie. You've had Too Fast, Too Furious. You've had Tokyo Drift. Now Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are back in a movie together. All right, let's go. Let's get the tracks, train back on tracks here, and see what's happening. So I enjoy it. I think the bad guy, of course, is not super interesting, and that doesn't particularly help. And then also they kind of killing Letty, I guess, is for some reason the only way they thought they could have everything they needed to happen and fall into place, but it still just seems unnecessary to kill her, you know. And even watching it, knowing that of course she comes back in a couple movies, it's still just like, I don't know why you needed to do that. I don't know if that was necessary to like, sure, you could have thought of someone, you could have thought of something else to get them to bump into one another to have to go through what they do. But there are also a lot of one-liners and little smirks and things. Like I enjoy the banter between Brian and Dom in this, like little sly jigs at one another, of course, when they're trying to be undercover together. Yeah, and that sort of stuff. Like the race and the fact that he spits it when he's like, I would have beat you if you didn't cheat. And then Dom's like, who said there's any rules? You know, like all this sort of stuff. There's like a part where he's talking to the bad guy's talking about like getting real racers and not people that are just racing for pink slips. And it cuts to a shot of Brian and he just like starts smirking, which, you know, is I think supposed to be obviously to the fact that their first race was for pinks, obviously. So little things like that I quite enjoy. And I also enjoy this. This is more like that I was saying about Too Fast, Too Furious, where it's like the full street version of Brian. This is like the more like in between version.
This is the version
like,
that's been in the FBI or whatever for 5 years.
Yes, but even when he's not there and he's supposed to be undercover, even that version of like, okay, I'm a little bit looser now, not like full FBI mode. It's still not as ridiculous as the one I think in Too Fast, Too Furious is, where it's like everything's a catchphrase, you know, like it's just like a nice sort of middle ground that is cool to see. So yeah, I do enjoy the movie though overall. Let's talk about the family. So Letty leaves the family, of course, in this movie. R.I.P. We'll see if anything changes as we continue for the movies.
I'll be honest, I legit forgot that what happened to Letty in this movie.
Really?
I'm like, did she die during that fuel thing? Is that what happens?
The difference for me is I forget which movie she comes back in, because I'm like, wait, does she come back next movie, or is there a movie in between? And I think, no, I've worked it out since then, but I remember watching it, trying to work out where the movies fall in the timeline. So Yeah.
I can't remember who it is. Someone recently, when Fast and Furious 9 happened, I don't know if it was like someone in my family or something was like complaining about the fact that Han's going to come back and stuff. And it was like, they shot Letty in the fucking head.
Yeah,
like
that guy was pretty sure he killed her.
Yeah, I'm like, everyone's acting like Han coming back's like such a like,
yeah.
Oh, Fast and Furious has gone too far now.
That's way crazy. You never saw a body. And that car was crashed for a very long time before it exploded.
Yeah, I know.
Hashtag
no slow motion jump. Shut up. Giselle also makes her first appearance in this film, obviously, as well. This is Gadot's. I found out recently. It's actually, I'll say that the T apparently. I've been saying it wrong for years. Gal Gadot's first film role as well is this movie. So it's funny to think back on that now. Of course, you know, everyone thinks of her as Wonder Woman. Yeah,
you can kind of tell she's a bit stiff at certain points.
She is. I mean, she's a lot better these days. But it's funny because, like, even though she's like, everyone thinks of her as Wonder Woman and all that sort of stuff, because this is the first thing I saw her in when I saw this in the cinemas and stuff. It doesn't matter what she does. I always just think of her as like, bring her back to Fast and Furious. Like, you're bringing Han back, bring back Giselle.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, hers was the least of the, you know, deaths.
All she did was like fall off a plane. It's fine. Like, it's fine.
That was very low to the ground. It wasn't that high.
It's fine.
There was a crash right there.
Yeah. I mean, that runway was like 18 miles long. So anyway, we'll get to that runway. The film also introduces the duo of Tego and Santos.
Who I completely forgot were in this movie.
Really?
I just thought they appeared in Fast 5 for no reason. And then watching this movie, I was like, oh, they have introduced them before. Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So they're played by Tego, Calderon, and Don Omar, who do some of the songs on the soundtrack, of course, including Los Bandoleros. I refuse to say it properly just because of Kieran's face. Every time Kieran's face is like, you motherfucker. And also want to give a shout out to my continuing tie-ins to Better Luck Tomorrow. Now, I gave Ash a heads up. Did you pick what my reference is? Did you spot this one, Ash? Did you pick my tie-in for Better Luck Tomorrow in this one?
Han's in it.
No, incorrect. So the other tie-in, everyone strap on your tinfoil hats because you're going to need
I've had them on the whole time.
There is a scene where a character being played by Roger Fan, who in Better Luck Tomorrow he plays the coach of the group, like the rich coach, the coach kid or whatever of the group. That's Roger Fan. In this movie, he plays an FBI agent, and he appears and he has like one line in the whole movie. My headcanon, because I can have headcanon because it's the same actor, is it's the same character from Better Luck Tomorrow. And after everything that went down in Better Luck Tomorrow, he went off and joined the FBI.
Wasn't he involved in the murder?
Sorry?
So he got involved to like cover it up. Is that your theory? Like to make sure,
I just think
to keep ahead in case it ever comes up.
To be fair, this is the same universe where the FBI let Brian O'Connor back in.
All I'm saying is if at the last film John Cho comes back, I will be happy that your headcanon is correct.
You're like
Zombie John Cho.
Damn, Dylan. You're like, damn, Dylan, your headcanon. I was doubting you this whole time.
He gets brought back like Idris Elba.
I've got the setup, right? They're all there. They're taking a deep breath. Han's there. He's managed to survive this really stressful moment. You think Han's going to live. And then this pager noise goes off behind him and he turns around and John Cho's there covered in dirt and holding his pager up, ready to go.
Bites his neck and then they all turn into zombies. That's where Fast and Furious 10 jumps off.
Zombie movie. What a change in pace for the franchise.
We'll end up with a bang.
So,
not many zombie movies have cars. Not many zombie movies have cars in them because they often are like, but fuel's a valuable resource that quickly disappears.
And then they steal another fuel truck.
Do you want to know why it disappears? Why not just the fuel disappears, but the NOS as well? Well, let's let Fast and Furious explain.
Wow. Karen, is there any other scenes or things you wanted to mention?
I really love, and this is the nostalgic scene that I feel is a callback to how it was in the earlier two movies, is Brian sitting there looking through all of the potential cars that he could have and use. And just him like being his inner car nerd. I think at one point he gets offered a Prius and he says hell no.
He's like, hell no.
Yeah, and then just that line of just him picking them and she's like, which one do you want? And he's like, well, I want all three because I'm a genius mechanic that can, make them all one car. It's going to be amazing. No, I really like that. And I actually like his interactions in the FBI. I like that his, the chief of his department or whatever is somewhat reasonably supportive of him in the end. Like it's not, totally against the call. And also him kicking the crap out of his colleague when he's trying to yell at him about letting Mia go is pretty great. It's pretty good. You're like, yep, that's solid.
Ash, do you have any moments that you want to shout out of things?
I liked his FBI sidekick, the woman, I think, what's her name? Trin, she was cool. I liked the chase, like the running chase through at the start of the film. That was different for the franchise, obviously, and something to do later. Comes back. Yeah. And yeah. I mean, the ending's fine. I mean, it's fun that he drives the car into the guy who killed Letty. Pretty brutal.
Literally just drives his car into him. Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about the ending? Because I guess I think the first time I watched it, that was one of the things I disliked the most. I guess like the the tunnel sequence and everything. Because obviously it's like just ridiculous.
I mean, if you have a problem with the airport scene, you have to have a problem with this, don't you? Because they went through it much faster than they in the first go round than they do in the ending.
Yeah. I didn't mind it so much this time. I just remember, I think the first time watching it, disliking it so much because I thought it was ridiculous. I think obviously now I've fallen into accepting some more of the ridiculous when it comes to the franchise. But yeah, even then, I don't think it's a highly exhilarating action sequence because it's just looks so fake to me. I think that's the big difference between the future films. Like the ridiculousness, they managed to make it somehow ride a line and look good. And I also think Justin Lin is the best director at doing that, and he proved that in 5 and 6. And I think the two directors who followed him, and we can talk about this when we get to those movies, but I think they don't manage to ride that line of ridiculous quite as well. And in this movie, he's still learning it, I feel, but kind of perfects it for the next ones. But yeah, overall, it really is just this kind of in between movie. You know, it's like Tokyo Drift was a movie that a lot of people liked and whatever else, and they try and get the band back together finally. And this movie is the getting the band back, but it's not the fulfillment that a lot of people look for. And of course, that's to come next week, I think, obviously, when you finally get them all together on the same page and whatever else. I'm really looking forward to starting the next movie because I love the way this movie ends. And I love how the next movie just opens without spoilers, but just like I love the fact that it cuts to all the cars and you hear the sounds, and then I love how it just ends on that shot of Dom's face. Like you can just hear that car, and he's like, "Huh, like they came for me," you know. Like, and I never know if it's a look of like, of course, like he trusted they would, or if he's like legit surprised that someone came and actually saved him. I don't know, you know. Family first. What is your favorite line from this movie, Kieran?
I love the section where, even though it's a little cheesy, where Dom is describing his perfect woman to Giselle. And she goes, "Well, that doesn't sound anything like me," and he instantly is just like, "It ain't."
Do you want me to read the quote?
You know, yes, please.
Starts with the eyes. She's got to have those kind of eyes that can look through the bullshit to get the good in someone. 20% angel, 80% devil. Down to earth. Ain't afraid to get a little grease under her fingernails.
Is that your line too, or do you just have that?
I'm IMDb open. I've got these quotes open.
Oh.
Look, I had the line open, but I wasn't prepared to read it out because that part is so fucking cheesy. But Ashley being Dom Toretto, I would like to start a Kickstarter campaign right now to reshoot all of Fast and Furious with Ashley Hobley as Dom Toretto for the whole thing. Let's go.
I'm down. Kieran, what's your favorite? Ash, what's your favorite line? Sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
She did it for you, Dom. She did it for you. Letty came to me to clear your name in exchange for bringing down Braga. She just wanted you to come home.
Get rid of it. We're cancelling the Kickstarter for the first time. Opening a new Kickstarter. Ashley Hobley one-man show the entire Fast and Furious saga.
I mean,
man, don't give me ideas about doing like a Fast and Furious radio drama.
We'll just read all the stage directions. It's like a live reading, like they do with like other better movies, like with actual dialogue.
I would love to do this. Just to get Ash to do more of these lines.
But yeah, that is I think that's a powerful line. I think it had emotional impact.
It's one of the more emotional scenes of the movie, I guess. My line is also from the same scene, I think. Yeah, it is from the same scene. You asked me why I let Dom go. I did it because at the moment I respected him more than I did myself. One thing I've learned from Dom is that nothing really matters unless you have a code. And then Mia says, "And what's your code, Brian?" And Brian responds, "I'm working on it." I like that part because it's like kind of admitting he does, you know, he's still working shit out, but he's trying to do the right thing. He doesn't know what the right thing is yet, but he's trying to get there. So I like that. And of course that plays into to the end of the movie where obviously by the end of the movie, he's decided the right thing is to get Dom out and go on the run. You know, that's what he's decided. His code has come by the end of the movie.
I wanted to say another quote.
Cool. What you got? Shout outs?
Maybe you're lying to yourself. You're not the good guy pretending to be the bad guy. Maybe you're the bad guy pretending to be the good guy. Did you ever think about that? And if it was made today, bad guy would drop in right now. Yeah.
Duh.
And then Brian would just dance around for a bit.
Fucking hell. It's not Spider-Man 3. Calm down.
Pizza time.
Kieran, let's go with you first. What are your picks for the songs to add to the mix this week?
My picks for the songs are G-Stro by Busta Rhymes, and Head Bust by Shark City Click.
The ones I did not have, so there you go.
Boom.
Ash,
I also had Head
what are
Bust
yours?
by Shark City Click and Blanco by Putball.
Putball?
Putball.
Blanco.
Putball? Okay, fair enough.
Surprisingly, no double ups at all here. So I had Bang Bang by Rai Rai and Mia, and then I had Crazy by Pitbull and Little John. So covered all the Pitbull angles, I think, and we got those.
A lot of
6
Pitbull.
songs.
No. We got 5 songs because
Oh no, there was one double up.
There was one double up, so we got 5.
Yeah, Head Bust.
Head Bust.
Cool. Also, I think in general the soundtrack for this one is decent, and it gets worse next week.
Ashley somehow was communicating to me at some point a couple minutes ago for some reason, and told me that apparently the soundtrack, like the score for this movie, was done in 3 days. Yeah.
Brian Taylor, whatever his name is.
You just knew that off the top of your head, didn't look it up on IMDb or anything? Just information you've absorbed.
Oh no, I absorbed it like when we decided to, spoilers, when we decided to do this podcast, I pretty much read the IMDb for every single movie that night. So what little I've absorbed is that. So if
Impressive.
100%. I don't know.
No,
I was just sitting there watching something. I can't remember. Yeah. Okay. What do you reckon? I looked that up that fast.
No, honestly, I thought that's something you knew beforehand, but it's
No. I absorbed that from that one night of reading trivia. I mean, in general, I read movie trivia for whatever I'm watching anyway. If you want to check out the playlist, of course, it'll be linked down below. It's on Spotify. We're building the ultimate Fast and Furious playlist. And looks like we're all out of NOS for this week. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Next week, we will be discussing Fast 5. There is no... For the future of this show, there's no more bonus things you need to watch. We're past the short films and random editions like Better Luck Tomorrow. We're just onto the Fast and Furious movies now. That's how it goes. That's
just so Ashley can't forget.
Yeah, Ashley can't forget to watch something, so that's always a plus. So make sure you watch Fast 5 before the next episode drops next week, of course. And remember that hashtag Justice is
Isn't
coming.
it weird that they drink like out of NOS cans in this movie? Like NOS branded cans?
No, but that's...
It's a drink.
Yeah, because it's
an energy drink.
Yeah, over there's an energy drink.
Yeah, it's an energy drink.
Also, is it though?